Hello, this video is to help you put the syllabus in your project number 2 website. I've got the document here open in my Komodo edit. You should have already designed the page and done all of the work on it. So now it should just have an empty space where you're going to put the content. This is what the page looks like. You'll notice that this is the same page I used to show how to make the nav bar. You should have a header and a footer, and then you should have a main article area, and then you should have some kind of a side. It could be the nav bar, it could be something else. And then over here I've got the syllabus that I want to put in there. So I'm just going to take the first 2 pages of this. It's got quite a bit of stuff in there, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to put it into the main area of my page. So I'm going to create a little extra space there, so I'll have space at the top and bottom, and then I'm going to paste. So this is a lot of text here. So I'm going to take all of this because I want it to be indented. I want it to be indented so that it's inside the main. So I select all of that and I hit Tab, 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 and that should be enough for now. Okay, now if I just save it and then I take a look at the web page, that's what it looks like. So of course it's not going to work very well. I need to put a lot more formatting into it before it'll work. Now let's say, for example, these first 3 lines. I want this to be basically H1. And so I would like to have an H1 here, an H1 here, and an H1 here. Now you're going to do this from time to time where you're going to have several lines with the same tag. So there's a trick to it. What you can do is that you can hold down the Alt key if you're in Windows, or you can hold down the Option key or the Alt key if you're on a Mac, and while you hold down that key, you click and drag, and that allows you to select a rectangular area. Now if you do this either with just one column like that, or even just no columns, but you just selected that area, notice how I'm getting this 3-line blinking cursor. So when it's like this, if I start typing, then it will appear in every single line. And when I finish, only the last line will get the end tag like that, the automatic end tag. So what I'm going to do with that one is that I'm going to right-click on that and I'm going to cut it. And so now all I have to do is go to the end of each one of these lines and then paste. Click and paste, click and paste, and there I go. Now I've got 3 H1 tags, and I'm going to save it. And so those are going to get real big. Unfortunately, they're too big. The font that I chose for my H1 tag in all the pages, that's in the style sheet. The font that I chose is too big, and it's not the style that I want. I chose April Fatface, and it's 36 point, and that is not what I want here in the syllabus. Doesn't look like the regular syllabus at all. So actually, the syllabus, most syllabuses are written in Times New Roman. So you want to have to be in just Times New Roman for the whole syllabus. So I'm going to go back, and of course I don't want to change the H1 for the whole site. I just want to have the H1 on this site, on this page, excuse me. I just want to have the H1 tag on this page only to appear in Times New Roman in a smaller font. So I'm going to go to the embedded styles. So it's this page only. If I put a style here and not in the style sheet, this page only will have this style for the H1 tag. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let's say H1. And I'm going to make a font family here, and I'm going to choose Times New Roman. Got to make sure I've got the quote marks around it, and that's going to be serif. And I'm going to make the font size 18 point, and I'm going to make it aligned in the center because that's how it was in the syllabus. So now if I save that, now you'll notice that this title appears much nicer. But you'll also notice that we lost our styling for the top of the page, and you don't want that because the header has to be the same in all of your documents. So how can we fix that? Well, it turns out to be pretty simple. all we do is that we make this a descendant selector. Instead of saying H1, we say main H1, and that will only affect H1 tags that are in the main area, not H1 tags in the header. So if I save that, and then we reload it, you'll notice that this stays the same, but this this H1 title goes back to being the way it was. Okay, so let's move on then. We've done that H1 area, but when we take a look at the syllabus here, you'll notice that there are titles and subtitles. Course description will probably be an H2, which will need to be styled as well. Course learning outcomes is going to be the same as that one. Reading will be also H2, but required text, that's probably going to be H3, that's going to be H3, so forth and so on. So we need to be aware of what we're going to need. So I'm going to have to make another couple of these rules up here. Let's see, for the not just the H1 in the main, but for the H2 and the H3. These are not going to be center aligned, so I'm going to take out the text align center. And they're going to be smaller, so I'm going to make it 16 points for the H2 and 14 points for the H3, but otherwise keep them the same. Okay, so I've just prepared for these titles that I'm going to have in the future, but what I'm going to work on right now is this right here. This has, it looks like one paragraph for each line, and we need bold text for here, and then just regular text after that. That should be simple enough. So we go down here. We want paragraphs for each one of these lines. So again, I'm going to hold down the Alt key or the Option key, and again, I'm going to make I'm going to select no width, but I'm going to have all these 5 lines be the same. Left angled bracket, P for paragraph, right angled bracket, and there we go. And then I can just cut the end tag for the P, and then we can click paste, click paste, click paste, click paste, click paste. We can do a similar thing right here for the instructor, contact, class time, class meeting place. All of these need to be bold. So I need to have bold tags here. So B will probably work better because these are not to be spoken with emphasis. It's just for appearance. So again, I'm going to select just a straight line up there, and I'm going to make a B tag. And then the end B tag, again, I can cut, and I can put after the colon in each of these places. And after that, everything should look just about the way I want it to. So let's take a look over here in our web page, and sure enough, there they are. It's a little bit more spacing than we saw in the syllabus, but at least for right now, it looks fine. Now, next we have the course description, which is an H2, and then we have 2 regular paragraphs. So course description is H2. There we go. I can take the end H2, put it over here. Now I know that course learning outcomes also will be H2, so I could take care of that right now. Put the beginning tag here, put the end tag there. Here we have 2 paragraphs right up here. I can again do the Alt or Option click and drag, and now notice that I can actually select the lines, and this part is not selected, but here, here, and here are selected. I don't need this one, but I can at least put it there. I can erase it after just a moment. I can do the paragraph, and then again cut out the end. I can get rid of that one because I don't need it. Then I can put click end paragraph and click end paragraph. So I can say save now, and once again we see, wow, yeah, that's looking very, very nice. Okay, so we're getting on, but that's more or less the easy part. What we need to do now is that we need to do a list, or at least a couple of lists here. We need a paragraph for this, and then we need a bullet list or unordered list for here and here, and then also we need right here we need the H3 tag. So let's see what we can do here. Let's go into here. Fortunately, this is separated by paragraphs here, so should not be a problem. This one will be a paragraph tag. Take the paragraph and put it over here. You'll notice that I'm not doing the paragraph usual indentation there. I could do that. I could make it so that the top and bottom are on separate lines. This is a special case because we're doing a lot of stuff here. If you want to make it cleaner, great. Just for the syllabus, I'll excuse you not doing it on separate lines. You can do it all in the same line for this document. Now here I need an unordered list. I've already got the bullets, but I don't want the bullets to stay. I want to get rid of those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first make this an unordered list, put the end tag over here, excuse me, and now I can make the list items. All of these are list items. Again, I can do the Alt or Option click and drag. I don't want to go down to here. I just want to stop right here because there's 5 points. And now when I start typing, left angled bracket, you can see I can make the list items. There we go. I can grab the end tag from right there. And now I can start just clicking and pasting the end li tags all the way through here. And here. And there. And there we have our nice list. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to do that quickly for these ones over here. For some reason, these are yen signs, but we can change that easily enough. Make an unordered list again. Copy and paste that. There we go. Click and drag with the Alt key on there. Make an li, and take that out. Paste. Whoops. And then paste. And then paste. So that's another one. And now we have another list down here. I think the reading required text is an H2. Oh no, I'm sorry. Reading is H2. Required text is H3. So that actually, yeah, here we go. So this is an H2. And put that over here. And then an H3. And put that over here. You can see that this will take a while. But it's not really complex. It's just a matter of patience and repetition. So I'm getting along here. I've got most of I think all of the first pages there. But now we get into a little bit of a difficult area because we're coming to this section soon. And this has got a 3-column list. This is a 2-column list, and they have to be lined up. And that's not going to be quite as easy. Let me just do the reading assignments. That's going to be another H3. So let me go in here and do an H3. There we go. And put the end there. Put a paragraph here. Put the end at the end. And now the grading rubric itself should be an H2 because the font gets big again. So I'm going to do that. But now I've got a problem. Now I've got to have all of these guys right here in their own little table so that the beginning of these line up and the beginning of these line up and the beginning of these line up. It'll help if I line them up here. I can just use some tabs to do that. And now I want to put divs around all of these. And I'm going to make each one of them have a class. So it'll be, column 1, column 2, column 3, because each one is going to be formatted a little bit differently. And so the best way to do that probably is to start over on the right-hand side. If I start over on the left, then everything's going to be pushed out, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key, and I'm going to select to the left of the words here. Excellent, very good, good, etc., etc. And I'm going to make a div, and I'm going to include the class here, just because it's going to be easier to do here, and quote, and I'm going to call it call3. So I'll make that later. And now I can do the end of these divs. There we go. So I can say end div for all of these. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same thing for this column right here. This will be column 2. So div class equals call2. And here it gets a little bit tougher. See, this is why I didn't want to do this from the left to right, because it would have caused this difficulty here. There we go. Put those end divs over here. And then this will get a little bit messy because we're about to go off the edge of the page here. So just to keep it a little bit easier, I'm going to put the end divs in first, because I know that this will, what I'm going to do next is going to push everything off the edge of the page. There we go. And then I'm going to do the Alt and select right here. And I'm going to type div class, and you see how I'm pushing it off. This line is now coming out there. That's what I was trying to avoid. Class equals, quote, call 1. And then that'll be the end angled bracket. You can see how I got pretty messy here. Now I can just get rid of that end div. We've already got the end divs here, so I don't need to copy and paste. So now these are all divs. And if I were to save it, and if we were to take a look at the web page right now, it'll just be all of these in their very own row, which is not really what we want to have. We want to have these lined up. So now, but what I've got here is that I've got call 1, call 2, and call 3 classes. So I can now style these. And so I'm going to go up in the style. Now I could do this in the main style sheet, but I'm just going to keep it here for simplicity in showing you these examples. So here's call 1, and it's going to be first, I need to make these divs so that they're not blocks anymore. I want them to be inline blocks so that they'll go next to each other. So I'm going to say display inline block. There we go. I need them to be a certain width, so I'll just start out by saying the width is going to be 120 pixels. I don't know if that's too wide or not. Let's just see how it works out. Let's see. I think that for the moment that'll do. It'll let me put a border around them so that I can see what's happening with them. I'm going to say 1 pixel, solid, and red. So that's just so I can see what they look like. And so now when I reload, this is what I get. That's column 1, and you can see that now I've got the these red outlines around them. Looks very nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it for call 2. This time I'm going to make the border green so that we can see it as a different color. And voila, here we have it in a slightly different one. I notice that I'm getting a little bit of variance here between that and that. That's probably because I've got spaces. So I can get rid of those a little bit later on. And then finally, column 3, again, I can copy and paste, and I can make this one blue. And so we can see what happens there. Whoops, I'm sorry, I forgot to change the name. It should be call 3. Beg your pardon. And now it looks like that. There we go. All right, well, now you'll notice we've got a different problem, and that is that the red comes right after the blue again. We want the blue to be the end of the line. So how do we do that? Well, there's a couple ways we could do it, but perhaps the easiest way is simply to put a BR at the end of each one of those. So I'm going to go back over here, and it's a little bit tough because we're at the end of the line there, but I'm going to do a BR, and I can just copy that, and then I can paste at the end of each one of these. There's paste, paste. The end of this next line is actually down here, so I've got to paste here. Same thing for here, paste and paste, and I believe that should do it, and sure enough, there we go. You'll notice that some of these are longer, need to be longer, so I'm going to, and probably also this one could be longer as well. So I'm going to take the call 2, and I'm going to make it a little bit longer. I'm going to make it 150, and column 3, I'm going to make this one 200, and see if that's good enough. Then I'm going to reload. That certainly looks much better, but here on the A, the BC, and the CD, it looks like I've got an extra space in there. Also here for the fail. So I'm going to go back down and I'm going to find out. I think I've got a problem with those. So I'm just going to get rid of all the spaces there. And you know what? I'm just going to hit enter for each one of these. So now I can see them a little bit more as groups. Notice I put 2 enters after the BR, so now I can see it a little bit more clearly. And there we go. And I'm doing the same thing here. Whoops, got a couple of those in there. I think I see where the problem is. There we go. And then after the BR, here we go again, and again, and again. And this is, like I said, it's a little bit tedious, a little bit of repetition, but that's what web design is about sometimes. Sometimes it's just repeating the same thing again and again and again. And I believe this will do it. Getting rid of those extra spaces in there, that looks like it did it. Now it looks a lot nicer, doesn't it? Now I can see it a lot more clearly. And now if I hit reload, these should all line up quite nicely. Ooh, look at that. Yes, 'tis a beautiful thing. Okay, so what I can do is that if I take a look at the original syllabus, I'll notice that the A, B, B, C, they're kind of indented here on the left. So I might want to add a margin left to that first call 1 there. Let's see if that works with inline block. It's always a test here when we're doing strange combinations, but let's say margin left 40 pixels, and I think that'll work. Let's go back in to the browser and hit reload, and sure enough it worked. There we go. So now these are in. I don't need quite this much space there, so I'm going to make that call 1 a little bit less wide. Let's make it 90 pixels. See how that works. That's quite a bit better. I like that. Okay, and then just so that everything else stays away from it, next one, grading, we can make that again an H2. So we have a break, and that'll go to the next line. And now that's good. The grading has gone down, although we might need a little bit more space after the table there, so we can just add a couple of more BRs. There we go. That should create the spacing that we want. There we go. That looks nice. All right. So you'll notice that this is not as clean and neat as my code usually is, but it'll work. So I'm going to go back up and I'm going to get rid of the red lines and the green lines and the blue lines and save it, and voila. There we go. We've got our nice little table. And if we take a look at the Microsoft Word, you'll see that it looks very similar to what was in the original syllabus right here. So that's how you want to do the tables. This works also for the grading here. It would work for this table. It would work for here. And if you do it once, you can just perhaps copy and paste what you did before and then just put in the new text there. That might work for you as well. So that is the basic idea of how you would change the syllabus text so that it'll fit into your website. It's a little bit of work, but it's very good practice actually. So get to it, and if you have any questions, just let me know.